I'm Chris DiLorenzo. I'm a illustrator and graphic designer. I'm the head designer for Johnny Cupcakes Clothing, and I make t-shirts all day. They're similar in the way that a poster is, that you want to see it and recognize it from afar, and it draws you in, and you get to see all the details. But it also acts as this flag for the wearer that you are representing, and so when you put it on, you are putting on that attitude that the shirt carries, or like it. They have more sentimental value too. So when you put it on, you're putting on like, oh, I got that shirt when I went on vacation in Colorado, like, and you feel that memory every time you wear it. You feel closer to that. So a brand has that power. That's what you're designing for. You're designing for memories and for, I guess, your presence. Working at Johnny Cupcakes, I've done so many different references and kinds of t-shirts that I probably wouldn't have drawn on my own. One year we had this thing called Something in the Cupcake Mix, where it's a Halloween themed t-shirt release, and there's like 5 shirts every year, and every year is a different theme. Coming up with an interesting idea, you think it's easy, but as the years go by, it's been getting harder and harder. And one year we did a whole movie theme, which is kind of like, oh, well, horror movies, you think we would have done it, but we kind of didn't. We touched on it, but we went specifically for old school movie posters and each genre of movie posters. And what we did was we packaged them in VHS tapes. So the whole idea communicated to everybody, like, not just, oh, what's that shirt? Why is it like that? It's packaged in this. You get it. We made fake trailers for the movies. We had actors and directors. We did all this just for a t-shirt. So that was the end result. It wasn't the movies, it wasn't the packaging. The t-shirt was the thing that it all culminated towards. And that was interesting because we got to research sci-fi, like old black and white, like Nosferatu, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, old stuff like that, to modern day, like 80s zombie movies, and just learning about all those styles and interpreting them how we would. That was a challenge and fun. So that's definitely one of my favorite projects we've done so far. So in a t-shirt design, it involves mostly 3 things, which is typography, illustration, and then the layout of it all. This is my portfolio with a lot of t-shirts. This is just 2.5 years of t-shirt design. A lot of mistakes, a lot of good things. I'm going to show you guys what works and what doesn't work in terms of t-shirt design. This shirt came out a Halloween for Johnny Cupcakes. It's a type of graphic shirt, and this is a good example of how you can do a type shirt but also infuse illustration elements and a bold graphic with a lot of detail. Horror movie killer icons, all hidden within the negative space of the typography. Negative space can be your best friend, so finding opportunities to use negative space is really important. A lot of my designs don't have texture, but when a design kind of calls for it, like I did this and I just knew it needed to be grittier, it needed to have that horror feel to it, so it only helps the overall concept. But if this was a clean design and it wasn't all hand-drawn and scratchy, it wouldn't call for texture because it would look out of place. So it was already there, the texture was just the last element I threw on there to complete it. Another example of a type of graphic shirt is to do more of what makes you happy. Johnny preaches that people should do more of what makes them happy all the time. Like, they shouldn't be stuck in their crappy jobs. They should go out and pursue what they love. And so this is a phrase that people can latch onto no matter if you know the brand or not. And that's really important. I see a lot of brands, they have big phrases on the front, but nothing that I can connect with. So nothing that a lot of people connect with. So you want a phrase, if you're going to do a type shirt, that represents your brand And this is a good way to infuse the brand logo, using the space in the O, finding spots rather than just like plopping it somewhere. It dead center, right in the typography. It's a good lockup of it all. This is a design that recently came out, and it's kind of like a vintage design, taking cues from old vintage advertisements done by like Donald Brunn and Herbert Lupin. And this is just taking Rooster and putting the oven mitt as his little waddle up top and throwing the cupcake logo in there. And this is a good example of how hand-drawn shirts can still be loud and effective. This is all completely hand done, and then I just scanned it in and manipulated the colors. But this is also a good case of a shirt that has a vintage vibe that did not come through as vintage as I want it to be, and that was on my fault. I didn't specify to the printer that I wanted it discharge, and so you end up with this kind of heavier material. Some shirts are just, the ink is within the fabric, not on top of the fabric. So this is an example of plastisol on a dark shirt where you would normally want discharge on a dark shirt. So this is boxing glove design that I did for Johnny Cupcakes that takes your idea of boxing gloves and incorporates baking mitts in replace of them. So this is a good example of an iconic design that is loud, shows that you can be clever with something that's been done a lot of times. People love things that are badass, and for Johnny Cupcakes, like this is a good design to show that, you know, I'm tough, but I'm wearing Johnny Cupcakes. Like, so you have that. It's all about that play of words. We're cupcakes, but you're tough cupcakes. So that's a big appeal for our customers that we noticed. So we try and play off that as much as we can. What you can take away from this is that it's a character that you've never seen before, unless you follow the brand, but it's something that is within your cultural memory. Like, it looks kind of like Mickey Mouse, or it has like elongated nose, like a Spy vs. Spy character. He's got a sack like he's the Hamburglar. So it's a lot of different things that you've already been associated with. Staying true to a certain style, you can make something that is effective and that is your own, that people aren't afraid of, that they can just latch onto because they know it already, but it's something that's new to them. This one, we knew we needed red. Red was a big color in London. You associate with the double-decker buses and the phone booths. So we went for the double-decker bus, and using that as the background color for the bus, it also limits cost in the end. You know, a lot of shirts are one color or one or two colors, and it's also easier to print. So this one, it didn't take away from the design using less colors. And again, it's simple, but it's big and there's an idea to it. So people know the double-decker bus, but there's that element of Johnny Cupcakes is kind of taking over London, and we're on top of the bus and dripping down. This is an example of shirt that just didn't work. Too many things going on, way too many things. I was too bold in this one. I thought I was going to exercise my typography, and in the end, you can see it just doesn't play out. There's too many different styles. You got the war in a different style than what the make and the cupcakes are. The graphic isn't as bold as the statement itself. It's not as simple as it is. And when you complicate a simple statement with graphics, it's not as effective anymore. Designy for design's sake, and you lose the message. The Operation shirt is simple design that uses the shirt and different printing, I guess not printing techniques, but where you can print on a shirt and bringing it down to run off of the shirt. That's something that you don't see as much, and some people do it just to do it. But when you work it within the design on a shirt, that's when it becomes more effective, rather than just having a graphic down below just for like fashion's sake, which you can, but just make sure like it's there for a reason. And then also, Johnny Cupcakes also has this tag that we put on every shirt, And so this was a good way of interacting with what the shirt already has. So turning that tag into the buzzer was something that we never done before. We never used it in an interactive way, and people responded well to that. And then carrying the design over to the back, there is a little rolling pin that's in the same style as the front. Because the Operation game, you have all these different pieces all around the body, so having that also on the shirt creates this, it's very interactive with the shirt. Okay, this shirt is an example of what we call trapping. The colors overlap so that you don't get any separation of colors. So there's no shirt in between the two ink colors. All the white you see here, it's actually on the file. It's larger than what is shown because when they put the blue ink over it, it then covers up that. So it's kind of just like a safety net for when you're printing, so that your printer, if there was ever any if the shirt moved a bit, it would still be okay. It would come out clean. So that's something that we'll go over.